Hi there and welcome back. For those of you who are joining first time, I am Hasid Thanki, the founder of presentation series called Intro to Individual Life Underwriting. Let's review cardiac arrhythmias. Friends, to understand the cardiac arrhythmias, we need to first understand what is the normal rhythm. What are the different sets of criteria that must be observed or followed to say that this particular cardiac rhythm is normal. Okay, and you will frequently encounter these scenarios in your daily routine life underwriting. So with that being said, let's start with cardiac arrhythmia. So in order for a cardiac rhythm to be considered normal, first and foremost, it has to have the heart rate ranging from 60 to 100. In order for cardiac rhythm to be considered normal, first and foremost, the heartbeats per minute or the heart rate should be in the range of 60 to 100. Okay. Now, different literature would describe different ways, but let me break it down broadly speaking. So, if you have, let me draw a heart here quickly. Here is your friend, SA node, AV node, okay. So, one of the criteria for cardiac rhythm to be considered normal is this, that the heart rate has to be between 60 to 100. That's number one criteria. Number two criteria is that it has to originate from our friend, and that is SA node. So the heart rate has to be of 60 to 100. It has to originate from the SA node. That's number two. Number three, all the cardiac impulses should follow the normal conduction pathway. Okay. And when I say that, I mean, now you know based on our prior sessions that SA node fires, atrial depolarization takes place, both the atriums are charged up, depolarization takes place, then it comes here, AV node, the heart is silent, then from AV node to bundle of His, and from bundle of His to both the bundle branch, and from both the bundle branch to Purkinje system, Purkinje fiber, and that's how the entire ventricular cycle takes place. The depolarization of those both ventricles takes place, and then repolarization follows. So, in order to be considered a normal cardiac rhythm, all the cardiac impulses should follow the normal conduction pathway. So, that is the third criteria to consider normal cardiac rhythm. Okay, and the fourth criteria is this, that not only the cardiac rhythm to be considered normal has to have a normal conduction pathway, but in addition to that, it has to have a normal velocity. It has to have a normal velocity. And when I say normal velocity, it means, as you now know based on our prior sessions, that when atrial depolarizes, so it has to have a moderate velocity. AV node has to have slow velocity. Ventricle depolarization, Purkinje system, Purkinje fiber fires, so it has to have a fast velocity. So that is the fourth criteria to consider or say that particular cardiac rhythm is normal. Okay, so let's just quickly recap. This is the start and this is the tail. You want to hold on to that because we all would like to have a normal heart, and this is our friend because as long as our friend is with us, the heart is normal. So let's quickly recap. So the first one is 60 to 100 heart rate we have to have. So that's number one. Number two, it has to originate from SA node. So that's number two. Number three, there has to be a normal conduction pathway. And so this is number two, this is number three, and this is number four. It has to have a normal, normal velocity, correct? So the heart rate of 60 to 100, it has to originate from the SA node. All the cardiac impulses should follow the normal conduction pathway, and not only that, in addition to that, there has to be a normal velocity throughout the conduction pathway. If these four criteria are present, then we can say our heart is like a star. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. Now let's see other aspects of cardiac arrhythmias. So this is broadly speaking normal. Now if you go below that, so you can have 60 to 40 is called bradycardia or bradyarrhythmia. Bradyarrhythmia, bradycardia, different literature would describe different ways, but that means the same thing. So when the heart rate or heartbeats per minute are less than what is considered typical or normal, and that is 60 to 40, then it is called bradycardia, and this one is like a mild bradycardia. So this is termed as mild. If it is going further down, say 40 to 20, it is broadly speaking considered moderate bradyarrhythmia or bradycardia. And if it goes further below, extremely slow, then it is considered severe bradyarrhythmia or bradycardia. Okay. So, what about the heart rates if it goes above? So we can have here 100 to 150. It's called simple tachyarrhythmia. So when the heart rate is in the range of 100 to 150. Tachyarrhythmia, again, different literature would use different terminology. Tachyarrhythmia or tachycardia means same thing. Remember, we are in intro session. We are trying to have a bird eye view or a broader perspective of trying to conceptually understand about the cardiac arrhythmias. So 100 to 150 is like a simple tachy. Now you can have 150 to 250. That is called paroxysmal, or is because it happens sudden, so it is called paroxysmal or sudden tachyarrhythmia or tachycardia. So that could have the range of 150 to 250. If it goes further, (250 to 350), it's called flutter. And if it goes (350), and in some literature they would say 350 to 450, some literature would say 350 and above, that's called fib or fibrillation. Okay, so this is our normal, that is considered normal, 60 to 100. 60 to 40, mild Brady; 40 to 20, moderate Brady; 20 and below considered severe Brady. Going down, slow conduction, slow heart rate, slow heart beats per minute. Going up, 100 to 150, simple arrhythmia, simple tachycardia. Paroxysmal or sudden tachyarrhythmia, tachycardia, 150 to 250, 250 to 350 is flutter, 350 and above is fibrillation. So this is one way to look at it. Now, talking about fibrillation, you can have AFib or atrial fibrillation if the fibrillation happens in the upper portion of the heart, in the both atriums, then it would be labeled as atrial fibrillation. If the fibrillation happens in the ventricle area, okay, then it would be labeled as ventricular fibrillation. Just like fibrillation, the flutter can also happen in both atriums. If so, it would be called A flutter or atrial flutter, or it can happen in both ventricles, so it would be labeled as ventricular flutters. Okay, so know the terminology and what is going on. Okay, so this is one way to look at it. Another way to look at the cardiac arrhythmia is where these arrhythmias are generated. Okay, so let me draw another heart here. This is your friend, SA node, AV node. Another way to look at the cardiac arrhythmias is this, that where the arrhythmias are occurring or what is causing the location of the origination. So, for example, if the arrhythmias are due to the injury or the partial infarction of the SA node or the sinus tissue, then it would be labeled as sinus arrhythmia. Let me just write here. Sinus arrhythmia. So these are the arrhythmias that are occurring because of being originated from the SA node. So that is termed as sinus arrhythmia. Now, because of the tissue in the atrium, okay, anywhere, because of the tissue in one of the atrium, that could be causing the arrhythmia. So it would be labeled as atrial arrhythmia. You follow? So we are looking at the origination site from where, or that is what is causing the arrhythmia. So where the arrhythmias are generated, that way also we can describe. So if it occurs in SA node, then it is called sinus arrhythmia. If it is occurring because of atrial tissues anywhere in both atriums, then it is labeled as atrial arrhythmias. It could occur, or it could be, the cause could be the AV node. So AV node in some literature would be called junction. So you would see junctional rhythm. So junctional arrhythmia. That is where the cause is AV node. In some literature, they call it nodal arrhythmia, but is same as junctional arrhythmia, and that is when it is caused by or generated due to the AV node. Likewise, if ventricular tissue is causing the arrhythmia, it would be labeled as ventricular arrhythmia. This is another way to look at the cardiac arrhythmia. Now in some literature you will notice that sinus arrhythmia, atrial arrhythmia and junctional arrhythmia, so these three are labeled as supraventricular arrhythmia. Supraventricular arrhythmia. Now if you notice, supra means above the ventricles. So the sinus arrhythmia occurs or are causing or generated through SA node or due to the SA node. So that is above the ventricle. Likewise, atrial tissue that causes atrial arrhythmia is above the ventricles. Junctional arrhythmia above the ventricles. So these three are also known in some literature as supraventricular arrhythmia. So once in a while you will see SVT, supraventricular tachycardia or supraventricular tachyarrhythmia. So that means, for example, so that means those are any of these three. And likewise, in some literature you will just see ventricular tachycardia. So that means what? That ventricular tissues are causing the arrhythmias. That's why it's called ventricular arrhythmia. Okay? So this is an overview of the cardiac arrhythmias, and let's take a quick break. We'll start here and then we'll continue further. Take care.